Once Lupe comes back, last night he disappeared too.
Ah, there he is.
Usually our rest position is usually like that. Enseñen la otra con el arco, como los arcos para arriba, como there's another. It's used also with a bow like that. Sometimes they do that, but for this group, it's usually the other way. It's usually this way.
Mm-hmm.
Usually our trumpet players, our rest position. It's the way you see. It's not like one guy this way and then a guy this way.
Yeah, yeah.
We're always thinking of what people are seeing, right? Harp, rest position. He just stands there. He just stands there. Guitarrón. One thing that I don't like, and I don't stress it a lot, with the guys. I don't like for their feet to be like this close together.
Right.
It's nicer for them to be.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows more pride. It shows even when you're playing violin. When you're here, when you arch your back a little bit, as opposed to just playing like this, it's a big difference. Párense como tocamos, como me gusta que se pare. ¿No? It's usually like that, right? Okay, párense directamente facing them, without the turn, and play like facing this. It just doesn't look the same.
Yeah, it doesn't.
The other way looks nicer. Like Lupe's smiling, he has the look. Look at
Is this a
Yeah, exactly. That's something that we're always looking at. Now, there are places that we play where it's just acoustic, right? It's acoustic balance, where we don't have sound. Like for instance, if we play, no toquen los micrófonos, pónganse enfrente de los micrófonos, muchachos, por favor, sí. Enfrente de los micrófonos. Yeah. Eso sí, we're not going to use the harp right now because it's already mic'd up. Pero si yo digo, okay, we're gonna play Somos Novios, just it's impossible, right? Balance ourselves. As a soloist, I play like half the volume, so you guys could be able to hear the strings, you could hear the strums. Now, usually if I tell them, cuadro, ¿no? Vamos a la gente, right? So, otra vez, somos novios, y ustedes hacen su cuadro, ¿verdad? El cuadro, a la gente. Pero divídanse bien, ¿eh? Divídanse, de ahí para allá, divídanse bien, a la gente.
Okay, whatever you say, Leo.
Hello. So they have to do like an imaginary setup where somebody's covering always a spot, right? Por ejemplo, Ricardo, ¿qué voy a pedir, Ricardo? Ponte acá. Lupe, así es el cuadro. That's sort of like an automatic thing that we like to do. And sometimes every room is different, right? Sometimes there's confusion, like this morning right now. Nobody is really awake, we're waking up. But that's usually what we try to do, and it's if 1, 2, 3 guys come with an attitude of I don't care, it's not a good thing. And we all have to come and try to work as a team and try to fill it. So once we start, then we try to balance ourselves better. understand why we like to balance ourselves, because it helps the audio, you know, what you guys are listening to. 99% of mariachi groups really, they don't really care about that. You know, they want to go, they want to make their money, they want to leave. It's not about what are the people listening to. You know, what are they listening to? A balancing. That the mentalities of the 99% of groups are not that. But for those of you that do work gigs on weekends, you guys know that, right? We want to go, we got to play. And for a director, it drives me nuts, right? Because every time that we go and we touch people, and people, they get touched by the group. They see the best that we could do as a group. There's a great chance that two of those people are going to tell more people, and more work comes to the group. You know, and it's very hard to inject it into professional musicians. You know what? It's, you know, like you got to leave doors open. You got to network. You got to make people feel that they're a part of our family, or a musical family. So how does it sound out there with the string? It sounds pretty neat, right? So it's sometimes we hardly ever do it. I mean, honestly, we're usually like this. So we do another setup. You guys come back. Vénganse, por favor. Vamos a hacer las dos líneas como normalmente hacemos. ¿Sí?
I love the way that this engages the audience.
This
you
is
know?
another way. When we don't have a lot of space, yo digo dos líneas, and usually the guys are over here. Our first violin, Eric, is usually over here. Adrian is one of the new guys. He's still like, okay, where I go? Someone tell me, right? So we're here. We always put the violins, obviously, there. We try to put the harp in the middle. I think it looks nicer. Tócale otra vez, por favor. So the guitarrón player has to pluck a little louder because he's further back, right? We're always trying to see what our surroundings are as a group. Sometimes, if they do go to a job, they ask for 6 or 7 guys. Sometimes the repertoire changes, right? And we start playing more polkas, more traditional. It's more of a traditional sort of setup, 7 guys, and we play more instrumentals, like La Gruta. Who studied the Gruta here? Yeah. So our take on La Gruta is a little bit different. So voy a pedir que se paren como me gusta que se paren un poquito. Toquen La Gruta, ¿sí? ¿We play La Gruta? 1, 2.
sometimes when we're playing, sometimes we'll play that with 3 violins only, 2 trumpets. And the whole showmanship thing is, I mean, it's so important also in mariachi. A lot of musicians don't like to say, okay, I'm gonna go do the gig, I'm gonna go do this thing, and that whole showmanship, me smiling in front of people, it's not important. It is important, you know. But also, it also is important when we're playing, right? And sometimes we have to concentrate a lot on when we're playing, and it's secondary, you know, if we're smiling or not. You know, I'd rather have you also play well, play with, you know, always be listening to each other. Right now, I'm listening to the rhythm section when they're playing. Pum, de la gruta, pum, 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 1, 2. So right away I'm listening. I'm hearing that because that's sort of guiding me for me. To try to have the pitch right where it should be. And I'm also listening to the chords that they're playing. Toquen los acordes a la entrada, así. Así a capela, puros violines. 1, 2, 3. You know, there's has to be the sensitivity, especially the violins, because there's always 5, 4, 6 violins, and it becomes more difficult, you know, for everybody to be on the same page. And it's such a huge responsibility for a leader, also. You know, sometimes they have to be aggressive in a good way, so everybody could feel like, okay, we got our leader, and he's leading us. Sometimes there are leaders that say, oh, I don't want to get anybody upset. It's not about that. You know, it's about being professional, and boom, that's our system. That's what we play. That's what we do. My trumpet section, I'm the leader, right? And I mean, the guys, they really don't have a problem with that. A lot of times I'm turning around with us because I'm always listening to pitch. It helps me too, stay in pitch. You know, I don't know, did you guys hear the group pretty much in tune last night?
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to play as much in tune as we can. I got to listen to a recording also. They recorded that last night, so I got to see. Sí,
I noticed last night, I was watching, you guys were constantly in communication with each other. You guys do the
Well, right
So
now a little bit more because it feels almost like uncomfortable because we have a violinist that moved to Chicago. So our new violinist is Adrian, right? Adrian's been in the group for how long? Has he been in the group? He's been in the group a month. All the music that he's been learning in 1 month. And everybody's But, you know, besides Adrian being a very talented player, he's very well educated too. And tell him a little bit about, you know, your background.
I did undergrad on violin performance at Cal State Long Beach, and my grad school on viola performance.
Yeah.
Viola.
So, you know, Adrian is a young man that Eric would recommend. Hey, you know, we have a recording. Adrian is there, so he comes in. I mean, come in, no problem. Sees the music for the first time, and we're, you know, 2, 3 takes, and then record. And that's super, super important. You know, who's been playing the less amount of time the violin? I think has been Ricardo. Ricardo's been playing the less amount of time, right? So he's more of a musician that doesn't have that big, huge musical background. It's more of a natural thing for him, and it's hard. He struggles. He goes, wow, this is like, everything's so complicated here. I go, yeah, it is complicated. It's not your normal, you know, okay, we're going to do a triad, a very basic triad, and when we're doing strings, you know, we'll do something like, tocan el da 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 da, and then playing, véngase. 3, 4, so they have to retain and remember those harmonies. If we're playing something like the Glenn Miller medley that we do once in a while, they have to retain those. It's not like a normal, okay, they're going from 1 to 5 to 4, pretty traditional. Sometimes we have to do this, so anybody that hasn't been exposed to that in this group, it's sort of like a wake-up call. But the great thing is that the attitude, I mean, let me tell you, I mean, I don't think, in all the years that we've been together for 35 years, I haven't had such a great, positive group of guys play together like these guys. Somebody new comes in and they're always willing to help, Always willing to.
Yeah.
During the breaks
That's
at the
cool.
restaurant, some guys want to, hey, I want to go have dinner during my break. But if the new guy, hey, can you record, this song for me, my part? Because that's their job to ask. And the guys aren't going to say, hey, come here, I'm going to teach you. No, the guys that have been here longest expect the new guys to ask them, hey, can you play? Because we don't have music for, what, maybe like 70% of the stuff we play, ¿verdad, Adrian? I mean, maybe 30% of the stuff we do have music, written out music, but a lot of the stuff is traditional when we play, so they have to sort of record our shows, record their parts. It's always part of that professionalism. But also, even when we sing, si cantamos la Feria de las Flores, me gusta cantar,
Me gusta cantar al viento porque vuelan mis cantares y digo lo que yo siento por toditos los lugares.
ahora sí.
Aquí vine porque vine a la feria de las flores. No hay cerro que se me empine, ni cuaco que se me atore.
So we're always trying to hear the balance and where everybody's at. Sometimes it changes. Like I said, there are only 4 violins, so sometimes Lupe might have to sing third or second voice. He might have to change to third or second. Eric might have to sing first. Sometimes he has to second or third. We're always constantly changing and seeing what our balance is. If I say, Guti, vente para acá, Guti. Adrián, vente para acá. Fernando aquí en el centro. ¿Sí? Toca el son de la negra, sí. Primera, segunda, tercera. Algo más. Up to there? No, sorry, Ferdy, toca primera, toca segunda, o toca segunda y tú tocas tercera. ¿Ah? ¿Ah? So we always have to have that option where one is changing to first, one's changing to second. On the traditional stuff, we don't have too much of that problem. And I say, Lupe, ven, toca. Lupe usually plays third here, ¿verdad? ¿Verdad? A ver, toca segunda, ¿verdad? Tú toca primera, Eric toca tercera. Eric's usually our first violin, right? ¿Va? Venga, márcales. Ah. So it's very, very rare that I do this kind of combination, but they still have to know that traditional songbook that mariachis have. They have to know first, second, and third violin parts. That's sort of like the ultimate. One as a director, you get a violinist that I'll ask, "What do you play?" If they say, "I play first," okay, this guy's not the guy for my group. He goes, "What do you play?" What do you want me to play? I could, I play third pretty good, second. My strength is third, but I do play all three, the traditional stuff. That's what I love to hear.
Yeah.
That's what I love to hear. But somebody says, "Oh, I only know second." I go, "Dude," I go, "Come on." Sometimes when I need a first, and you're here, and I need that flexibility in the violin section. That's the hardest thing I think in the violin section. In the rhythm section, I think, ¿cuánto tiempo tienes, Pique? A little over a year. ¿Y Felipe? Tocamos vihuela o guitarra por la mayoría del tiempo. Yeah? So he's been playing vihuela for a while. But, he plays guitar very beautifully, too. The modern music, he could accompany himself just alone with a guitar. He's a very good guitar player. But him coming into the group, he comes and, okay, there's a system of playing. His job is sort of to pick up that kind of system, and my job as a director is to see what his strength is and to try to feature him there. You know, so he's got an awesome left hand, right hand. If you saw yesterday at Cascabel, I mean, he does a lot of things with the vihuela. I mean, he does some positions that are pretty cool. But for me, what's more important is that he keeps good tempo together with Chuy. You know, so if I play El Rey, ¿va? Do it, in do. Right? We locked in already.
Yeah.
Right? So if I play El Rey with a different tempo, they gotta listen to where I'm at musically. Right? I played it slower, but right away they locked in with me. With the 2 quarter notes that I played, they already heard what the tempo was. If I played faster, right? So their job is like, you know, what kind of mood does Jose come? You know, Chuy tells me, he goes, you know, today you played it a little faster than yesterday. I go, but we played it together, right? Played together. Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea, right? To play it together, right? And I mean, obviously, vocally, we always depend on Lupe. You know, we depend on Lupe. Ricardo's a strong vocalist. Gustavo's a strong vocalist. Fernie's a strong vocalist. Adrián nos ayuda a nosotros también in the trio. He helps us a lot in the trios. Right now, he's just concentrated on his playing. To be honest with you, Eric is a strong voice. I hardly ever put him to sing, but Eric actually sings very pretty. But but he's really good at harmonizing. Like I think yesterday he did some. When we're doing the Agustin Lara thing, he's never sang those trios with us.
Really?
Never. Because we had to fill in what the other guy that was in here, Joaquin, and then we played another song where he came in, and I was looking at him, I go, he was one of the songs, right? And he was singing a song that he's never really sang in that medley yet. But I count on him, like he has a lot of experience. He knows a ton of songs, and I knew he would know the lyrics to that song, right? But still, we were sort of nervous for him. We go, oh man, I go, he's so used to accompanying that part. That por tu culpa, mujer, por tu culpa. But it came out okay. And Eric did the trio, came out okay. And he's just hearing, remember I told you guys when we go, how do you do trios? I go, we're just hearing the progressions. And that's just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what we do. We sort of try to hear it. Darre, por favor. Dicen que la distancia es de lo que te echa. Pero no lo toquen, eh? Just sing the first voice. Okay? I don't know if he knows the lyrics, but...
No, I don't know the
lyrics. Pero canta la tercera, ¿no? Okay.
This is father and son here, by the way.
Okay, here we go.
Father and son.
Dicen que la distancia es el olvido, pero yo no concibo esa razón, porque yo seguiré siendo el cautivo de los caprichos de tu corazón. Supiste esclarecer mi pensamiento, me diste la verdad que yo soñé.
I mean, we're trying to fill in, he doesn't know the lyric, we're trying to fill in the harmony, right? And my hope is that the first voice always stays in pitch, right?
Yeah.
Always stays in pitch, right? No. It's I mean, you know, when the nerves kick in, we always tend to laugh.
Yeah.
But those are nerves, right? But it's sort of nerve-wracking. So you canta tercera, Lupe? Dicen, Rey, Miami.
Dicen que la distancia es el olvido, pero yo no concibo esa razón, porque yo seguiré siendo el cautivo de los caprichos de tu corazón. Supiste esclarecer mi pensamiento, me diste la verdad que yo soñé, ahuyentaste de mí los sufrimientos en la primera noche que te amé. Hoy mi playa se viste de amargura.
Right? So we're always trying to cover, because we already sort of hear the progressions that the rhythm section is playing. And these are all the things that happen in mariachi that sometimes in workshops we don't really talk about.
Right.
We just sort of do it automatically when we go out there and play. And it's fun when you have sort of a group of guys that are that, hey, let's do this trio. We used to do that with my family a lot. I mean, 30 years ago, when we used to play, it was my father singing third or second, or Pedro, my brother, singing first, or me singing third or second. We always switched around, and we improvise trios. It's fun. It's really fun. There are certain places that we get to do that. But just remember that the mariachi, it is primarily about playing well and singing well, but it's also very important to have the professionalism and the showmanship when we're playing, right? So estamos tocando el son de la negra, tocan el son de la negra, por favor, muchachos, y balanceanse, ¿sí, por favor? ¿Ya? Venga, venga. Va. A lot of times we're not really looking at each other. We're sort of feeling where the accents are, that they're sort of. It becomes contagious when you're kind of. So it's always that pulse, and we're just trying to build as much as we can. ¿Pueden tocar esa parte? Con el pulso de ellos, ¿eh? Ah, otra vez. 1, 2, 3. We're always sort of trying to connect with the pulse, whether it's a bolero, whether it's a son. And boleros, I usually try to add some. Tocamos más allá, for instance. Más allá, poquito. ¿Ah? 3, 4.
Más allá de lo bello y precioso, estás tú.
Estás tú.
Más allá del sueño que ambicioso, estás tú.
Estás tú.
Más allá de la luna más bella que tendrá una estrella. Estás tú.
Más allá.
Estás tu amor en mí. Estás más allá.
Más allá. Del mar a lo profundo.
Estás tú. Más allá del límite del mundo. Estás tú. Estás tú. Más allá de la vida infinita, más allá de la muerte, estás tú más allá del final.
You know, so we're always, even though we're singing, we're sort of hearing the pulse, their pulse. Brum, bum, 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 brum, brum, bum, bum. It's very, very important. And you know, a lot of times when we get rhythm, a rhythm player, guitar player, vihuela player, if they come with this attitude that it's me first, you gotta follow me, everybody, and they're not listening sort of to the pulse of the group of everybody playing, the bowings, where they feel comfortable bowing also, we can be playing super fast. It's never gonna work out. It's always that team effort. So that's basically the system that I use and that I've used for years. You know, so a lot of the younger guys that are part of this group now, I mean, one way or the other, they listen to our records and stuff like that, and they say, you know, one day I want to be in that group, work with the guys and stuff like that. My job is sort of to make it pleasant for them to work, to want to play, to say, I like to play in that group. I like to play in the group. You know, we've been very blessed lately. We're working a lot, you know, and these are the toughest times to get up in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, we do
I know
appreciate
some of them
that.
were walking outside over on Fremont Street last night.
Could I ask?
There you go. There you go.
What is that? Oh, dude, all right. You're going home with money in your pocket.
You want $200? You want $200?
All right. Yeah, $200. Cool. Can I ask a question? What to engage your audience? Have you ever had a tough audience that you have to really work extra hard to get
Every
them?
audience is different.
Yeah, I mean, last night they were so with you, but I mean, when you have an audience that's a tough audience, is there some strategy you use
Usually
to?
in the theaters, we don't have a problem because if somebody buys their ticket to go see us play, they're already pumped up to come and hear us play.
Well, that's true.
Where it's difficult, it's when when we're not touring or we're not out, we're at the restaurant, and that's our job there at the restaurant.
Right.
And if we approach it like a job, it doesn't become fun. We have to approach it as a chance to play together, you know, to have fun, to enjoy what you're playing. And sometimes, you know, it's difficult to go and play at the restaurant, and it's that routine. But, I mean, who plays classical music? How many times do you have to play a certain concerto or a certain piece with a certain orchestra? We're going to play that again, okay? We only have this repertoire, and we're just going to play those pieces. Yeah.
When you're at your restaurant or you're someplace where maybe the audience is not engaged in as much, do you guys go out and shake a few hands and say hello? And
That's even a struggle, let me tell you, but we've been getting a little bit better at that, you know. I always tell the guys, no, but you know, most of the time, if I'm not there, Chewy knows what kind of music to play to get them engaged with us, you know.
But sometimes, yeah, it becomes a routine. It becomes a routine, and I know the young guys, sometimes they want to play this song, that song, and I go, it would be great to play that song, but we have to practice it first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we have a certain standard, you know, of presenting ourselves. Or I like to think that we do. You understand what I mean? So, yeah, we could improvise a whole bunch of songs, but they won't come out 100% awesome.
Yeah.
You know, we have to brush it up a little bit during the break. Just say, hey, let's go over that adorno, blah, blah, blah. This fill, this is what we do. But,
So when you guys are doing your solos and you come forward to sing for any, you know, you guys, and you step forward, do you sing it the same? I mean, do the hands go up at this word? I mean, do you sort of have it choreographed what you're going to do, where the hand goes up, where the hand goes down?
Not
It just
really.
how it takes you, or what?
Me personally, I just try to connect with the lyric, and wherever that takes me, and every day it's different because you feel different. And sometimes it'll connect differently with you. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, and I see it like when he goes up there and he performs, it's never the same. Never
Uh-huh,
the same one.
really?
The same thing with
I used to
Gustavo.
be like that.
The same thing with Gustavo. Now my job is when we're playing, or even at the restaurant, you know, at the restaurant, I say, I know we're on a stage, but still there are people sitting over here and people sitting over there and in the middle. So we're gonna start in the middle, then once in a while come over here. They like to know that you're singing to them.
Yeah, truly.
You know, then there's the música del medio where we play, and move right here, you know, with the mic, and come over here and sing to the other people. They like that.
Yeah.
That's part of it, you know. And sometimes you don't know how difficult it is to get it in somebody's head for them to say it's important. It's important. I mean, you're not doing me a favor. You know? I mean, I could really go there and say, you're working for me, I'm paying you. I mean, are you interested in working here?
Yeah.
I hate to go there. But it's like, you know, you tell somebody you want them to be professional. I've had guys like that in my group, where, you know, it's just about them. Forget everybody, they have their chip on their shoulder. It's like, I try to be an example. And mariachis are a very special breed, let me tell you. You know, at the professional level, well, you work with some professionals, right? Mariachis could be a very special breed sometimes. But then, you could also be very fortunate and very blessed. Like I said, I mean, for the most part, with us, you know, it's a good chemistry. It's good for the most part. They're very, very flexible. If we say boom, sometimes there's communication, lack of communication sometimes, and it's sometimes not their fault, or sometimes it's not our fault, right? But for the most part, it's gotten better through the years.
Yeah.
We have to, it's that respect for the audience, you know?
I noticed, you know, you improvised a little showmanship when the mic wasn't working. Your brother came over and sang.
Yeah.
You put your arm around the violin player and sung on that mic with him. You know, it looked like.
Yeah. And I was still trying to balance, right? Because my voice is a little louder than Eric's voice. But Eric, it's cool.
Very soft.
Eric has a soft voice, but Eric sings very in tune. For me, it's cool to sing with him because he's in tune. It's a good guide for me. You know, when you're playing with somebody that's in tune, it's awesome to play like that. You know, it's not too nice to be playing with somebody that's out of tune.
No.
Getting back to working a difficult crowd, Sol de Mexico played in Indiana, and I would say 95% of people had not heard of mariachi.
Oh yeah, Consalmer Institute.
And so the clapping was very polite. People were very, very nice in Indiana, but it was very polite at the beginning.
That's
And
what they
then
know.
you played your show, and it was crazy. I can't tell you how many people, of course, they pulled me up on stage. I can't tell you how many people came up to me afterwards, all through the week, saying, first of all, they knew my name. And they said, you know, that was amazing. We've never heard of mariachi. I mean, because a lot of them were band directors.
In Indiana.
In Indiana.
You know what I
and
mean.
Not a diverse crowd.
Not a diverse crowd at all.
Really did not know mariachi.
And we had some jazz teachers that came up to me and they say, you know what, man, I heard some of the jazz language in your chords and your progression. It's so nice to they were, I mean, I got excited hearing them talk about the Greco. I felt so good and so proud of my guys. But if you notice, in Indiana, our show was a little different than last night.
Yes.
In Indiana, we weren't saying, me cansé de rogarle. We knew nobody spoke Spanish, right? We're gonna, come on, sing with us.
No.
We're going to sing. We sort of kept away from that, right?
But the point is, they're on their feet at the end, and they're cheering,
Oh,
and
that's great.
clapping, and the feedback was like
We got converts, I think.
complete
Yeah.
excitement.
That was a fun thing to do. It really was.
So a lot of, for example, In fact, one of the kids for Hispanic Heritage Month dressed up like Jose Hernandez. He's like, who's your hero? Hernandez.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
What kind of advice would you have for 6th, 7th grade kids who are just enamored with mariachi? To keep them excited through the hard times, through their learning your first zone, and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this.
I think the perfect people to ask, honestly, are for instance, Gustavo, who was part of the foundation group that we had for my foundation in 1991. He was, I think, with the first generation of students, probably that. Him and his two sisters, I played with Reinas, with the all-female group that I had. But he could tell you more or less, what it was like going to.
I'd say, is like if they're amazed with that, it was the same as me. So what I wanted to strive for is just practice, so I can get in this group, So I guess just say practice, and I mean, and if they come up to us, I mean, we're always nice to everybody. We try to be at least nice and talk to everybody. So I mean, it would help for them to meet us maybe and talk to us.
Well, tell them how we can do that. We can.
Yeah. We do that. Sometimes we do outreach. Sometimes we, together with our agent, wherever we go. There are a lot of groups. I think we did it in Oregon, right? In Portland, or
yeah.
Eugene. We did a couple of the groups there.
And you're going to do it in Scottsdale.
They came to actually to our sound check. I know we're going to be in Scottsdale, so you're going to take your kids to the Performing Arts Center. So they're going to sit in during our sound check.
Yeah, to me it was also as well. I mean, he would talk to all of us as well. So when he would talk, it was like.
And we had that yearly concert, where we featured the first batch of kids that we had. I think we had like about 40 students or something like that. And it was really cool to have them. Ricardo Montalban, he was the speaker for our first show. I think the second year I took Lola Beltran, Lucha Villa, Miguel Aceves Mejia. I took all three of them. And they went to support my foundation, which was awesome. But all these guys were very young, they were little kids.
No kidding.
And I think Adrian was part of our foundation too. Adrian, were you? Yeah, he was part. He told me, I was in the school right there in East LA with you guys. I go, you were? Okay.
Cool.
But yeah, it's really cool, And we did a little Juvenil Sol de Mexico. I remember we were playing at that. I think Gustavo was part of it. Eric was part of it. But they were still doing, Eric was still doing his classical music. And I mean, I wasn't really brought up playing classical music, but I don't even know what goes through your mind when you're really like, your violin teacher is telling you to play this way, and then in mariachi, you're being pulled this way. As a kid, that must be very confusing, I would assume, right? Mm-hmm. Does that happen? Did that happen to you?
Well, I didn't really have teachers growing up.
Yeah.
So,
but
until college.
Until college. Oh, so in a way that helped. But Eric had teacher things since the age of what, 8, maybe? 9?
No, I started when I was 5.
I can't tell right now, but I actually don't think that applies to violinists because at a certain age when I think the majority of people know when you play the violin, it takes you about half a year, maybe to 3/4 of a year to actually take out sound of the instrument without that scratchy noise.
Mm-hmm.
So for there to be consistent clarity. So when they tell you mariachi play, like dig in, there's something about having studied that that's always going to prevent you from sounding that real rustic type of quality. But technically, it doesn't affect you at all because I had teachers, and since that was my foundation when I played mariachi, or when I went my teacher, it was never an issue because I had other things I was doing apart from that, and my tone and that kind of foundation was already being set before I even started getting involved in mariachi. I think it applies more to trumpet players because of the way the vibrato.
And the attacks.
Yeah, I think it's a much more of a significant issue with them as opposed to us. I don't think it was ever anything that my teacher told me about because I was studying something totally different. I would learn a couple songs. And I think it's more applies to trumpet.
Could you demonstrate though what you like a classical approach and then the mariachi approach? If you think there is a difference at all?
Well, I think like La Negra is a good example. We all have to. It's a very energetic song.
Right.
The majority of times when we're playing at the restaurant, if my dad's not there, or my uncle's not there, if Jorge and I are in charge, I pretty much always start with that one because that one's an easy one. It's good to warm your fingers if you haven't warmed up yet, and it's very energetic. But I think one of the key principles of playing that song is you always want to come in very energetic. You want to really. I'm putting a lot of weight on the bow, but I'm pulling it fast enough so it doesn't sound.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. I know a lot of guys in other groups that play very well. That didn't study, but they have an innate ability for the instrument, but they sound a little rasposo, a little scratchy when they play. But it's a part of the characteristic of music. I don't think I've ever really had, if anything, they told me dig in more, because it's too
classical.
Well, clear sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of somewhat of an obstacle that you're going to run into when you have that like bowing. You know, I had a violin professor of violin. She told me. You know, the difference between sounding, when you project your sound, if you're behind like a concert violinist and they're projecting their tone, you know, they put the bow on the string and they put a certain amount of weight and then they pull. Now, if you're behind them, you might hear a little of the scratches, but by the time it projects out to people, you don't hear that. A lot of times when you hear people that more mariachi based, they don't have that much of the foundation, you'll hear a little of that they put a lot of weight on the bow, a lot of weight. I'm envious because it's hard for me to do that. They put a lot of weight on the bow, but they don't pull the bow fast enough. So you end up hearing. And my teacher, that professor told me, she said, the key is to put enough weight on the bow and pull it fast enough so you have a big tone and you have a nice clear tone. The quality of sound doesn't get distorted or hindered by
Yeah, gotcha.
So I think when you have a foundation of technique a little bit or a lot, that's just going to help you play more. For the violin, I think for the trumpets, I think that's where they can really get confused. Like the way their vibrato, in mariachi trumpet, they use their lips.
Yes, we do.
In classical trumpet, they actually like. It's like that. In classical trumpet, I think they actually move. It's weird. I think that's where they get a little bit. That might be a little bit more difficult. Yeah.
Okay. Good answer.
Violin. Oh my God, that is like the most difficult.
Yeah.
My dad was a violinist. So. Leave it.
I teach 5th and 6th grade kids, and one of the most difficult things for me to do is to get 5th and 6th grade boys to come into my choir.
Oh, to sing.
You have sang in choir when you were a kid. Senor Pavarotti. I mean,
Senor Pavarotti.
No.
No? No. Did you get any kind of training?
From my father. He used to be a good singer, so I learned from him.
But any of you sing when you were younger?
In a choir?
In a choir at all?
No.
No? Well, that kills that,
I think the thing is, that's what I tell you about mariachis, is that we sort of grow up listening, and it's just something that we just have already in our ears.
You're kind of thrown into it. Like, you haven't sang yet? Oh, sing el rey, and they put you in front of everybody. And it's very uncomfortable. It's super uncomfortable. Especially when, like, I'm not much of a singer. So they put me, I'm like, oh, I'm over it already because they did that to me when I was 18 years old. And that's pretty old. I was 18, but it's very awkward at the beginning. Super awkward because people are looking at you and you're like, don't look at me. It's super awkward.
Well, I have two questions actually. Okay, when you perform, when you go to a show, to a restaurant, do you have a list of songs?
No, not at the restaurant. No, it depends how we feel the audience.
Ah.
You know, we want to get up. I mean, there are certain songs that we know. I mean, they have to be dead if they don't respond to certain songs.
Yeah.
My job, which is it's sort of sad to say, but my job and their job is to try to get the people to consume.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
The other
No.
How many songs do you?
We don't count the songs. We have
no
no
I mean,
clue.
how many songs by memory?
We don't even know. We don't know. We have no clue.
How many songs do you have?
We don't know. Just a lot. Yeah. We've never really sat down and waited. Yeah. Diga.
I know you're all very busy between gigs and traveling and recording. How do you manage your time to play very precise
Well, you know, we work together 4 nights a week for the ones that work the
This is
less
their
with us is,
job.
for instance, Lupe, he's in San Diego, and Lupe's a full-time teacher at Sweetwater School District. Right?
Yeah.
So it's harder for him to come in. I mean, we feel it as a section, you know, that he doesn't play with us all the time. Because when you work together all the time, you're very sharp, you know, on your bowings, and it's very, very difficult. You know, but for the guys that do work together all the time, there is no problem. I mean, we try to practice 1 day a week, and it's like looking at new music that I wrote for them, or polishing up some old stuff. Like right now, what we want to do, what I need to do with the guys right now, we have to polish up a lot of the old polkas and other sones that we haven't played in a while. That we need to polish up a lot of that stuff because we don't want to lose that. We still want to play a lot of the polkas and a lot of the sones.
What is the foundation? Do you guys come from families that play mariachi?
Pues algunos, like Ricardo, ¿tu papá tocaba el mariachi o tus tíos?
Sí, en mi familia, pues mi papá, mis tíos, por parte de mi papá, pues tengo mujeres también, tías, primas, mis abuelos también.
His uncle used to play with me too. You know?
Oh, okay.
Well, not with me, with the group.
Ay, 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 ay.
Used to play music.
This is being broadcast
It's early
on.
in the morning. Okay? I want to make it
dad, his brothers, his grandfather. They would all play.
He comes from a long line of musicians too. Lupe, when we go back, his uncle used to play with my father in the 60s, the Mariachi Águila.
Really?
And his grandfather used to probably play with my grandfather in Jalisco. ¿Cuándo empezaste?
Bueno, yo empecé a tocar en grupos profesionales en el 70, 1970. Pero mi abuelo y el papá de mi abuelo tocaron la Sierra del Tigre allá con su abuelo. Es como
It's
cinco
because,
generaciones.
originally this music was really passed down from family to family.
Right.
And most of the families would say, "Oh, you're my daughter. No, you don't play. You don't play mariachi. It's just for men." But Fernando, can I tell you?
Nothing.
Nobody. Now there's a great example of mariachi education. He grew up in Tucson. He was part of the Changuitos Feos too.
Sí.
Gilbert. So that's you know, it's sort of like a whole new generation of musicians that don't come from mariachi families, but they learn the music
And they love it.
through the way that all of you are
Yeah.
teaching this music, which is awesome for them.
He's your kid right there.
Right there.
Yeah, there's your kid. Yeah.
My dad exposed me to mariachi music. He actually started with Lupe's father.
No, fíjate.
Yeah. So.
Mi mamá era cantante y toda su familia también mariachis y músicos de orquesta y de banda y muchas cosas en México.
Yeah, his mother was a singer, and his dad and his uncles, they were like in orchestras and stuff like that. He looks like he's 16 or something. Everybody tells me
Totally.
he's like 16. I go, he's the Mexican version of Justin Bieber. That's what
Justin Bieber.
Bueno, pues yo soy creo que la cuarta generación de mi familia de músicos de mariachi, pues a ver, hasta dónde yo creo que hasta aquí.
Yeah, he's had it for 4 generations.
So I come from a really big family, but none of them are mariachi musicians. I had an uncle that taught me guitar when I was in junior high. I actually started on trumpet. I wasn't very good at it, so I switched to hard. But yeah, it's just going to, you know, growing up in public school, public education, band, orchestra.
We sort of introduced mariachi
workshops.
in his hometown because what was it, like 1988 or something, like 89 maybe?
89.
He was one of my trumpet students.
I think it went 91.
Wow.
I was like 6 or 7. I was 7 or 8.
Musicologist,
it's
right?
It's great that he knows a little bit about the trumpet, right? Because he could talk about it.
Yeah, and then, I mean, and especially for like to encourage your kids too. Like it's great when you're in college, like a weekend job. It's awesome, and yeah.
But you're studying musicology, right?
Ethnomusicology.
Yeah, ethnomusicology. Yeah.
Well, I started in middle school in the mariachi program.
Yeah.
¿Tu familiares son
I have no musical roots.
He is out of Rosa